From the Smith Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, this is TargetIllustrated.com. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me, as he always does for Three Things post-game video, our very own publisher, Andrew Jones. And AJ here on Roy Williams Court, which you can't see on the cameras, right there. Literally right where my camera's sitting. Right there, Carolina winning 102-86 over College of Charleston. We're here to talk about it, obviously, and break it down. And AJ, we got to start with Armando Bacot. Fantastic tonight as the bleachers start. So AJ, I joked with you off camera. We're back. Yeah. We got bleachers slamming in the background. You had music blaring when we came in here. We're going to try to be pretty quick with this.
Because there's TV news doing stuff over here. We've got no other place to do these. So.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. We're going to try to bang this one out. So
we did get them to turn the music off, but then they're going to go ahead and do that. So.
There's always something. You guys know. AJ, Armando Bacot, 27 of his 28 points come in the second half after only having one shot attempt in the first half. Quiet performance. We'll talk a little bit in a second about why maybe some of Carolina's players, including Armando Bacot, played better in the second half. But again, we saw why he's the ACC preseason player of the year tonight in the second half. We also saw why he's a first-team All-American. He was really, really dominant in that second half. Credit to him for turning things around.
Well, we didn't see why he was ACC preseason player of the year in the first half. Nah. 1 point. 1 rebound, 1 field goal attempt in the first half. The field goal attempt thing to me is even a little bit more concerning than the rebound.
Yeah.
They were really out of sorts defensively. They just weren't in position to get rebounds, and we'll hit on rebounding later on. But the 1 field goal attempt, the guys took responsibility for that. Mm-hmm. All right. RJ said it was their fault. They weren't getting him the ball. Hubert said afterward, yeah, it was their fault, but Armando wasn't making himself available. He wasn't working that hard.
Yeah, you could kind of tell, yeah.
And Armando said after the game, Armando said a lot of stuff. You guys need to listen to our interview with Armando after the game. Good. He said that he wasn't doing this, he wasn't playing right, his head wasn't right, all these kind of things, that there was something missing, and he kind of knew that, yeah, it was juice, it was energy, it was a lot more of the chutzpah and those kind of things, but there was something else missing. I think part of it is just they're a new team now. Yeah. And we talked about this Monday night after the game. People just figured that April would pop up today, but that's not the case, and Hubert actually alluded to that afterward, and we're going to hit on that in a minute as well, but it pertains to Armando. So what we saw in the second half was a team that was made a concerted effort to get back. He's the best player in the court, most productive player in the court. He should dominate every college game he plays in for the most part, and he should dominate College of Charleston without question. Yeah. And that wasn't happening, and that was an indictment on everybody that got into the game that Armando had 1 shot. So they got him the ball right away. They had the ball to start the second half. Drew something up. Go right to him, guys. You could tell that Hubert's just like, just get him the damn ball. Yeah. You know? I'm sure he didn't say damn because Hubert doesn't cuss, but Roy would have with a few other words. Yeah, and they did it, and they did it again. But you know what? He forced a turnover after a missed shot underneath their basket. Nance gets the reach because Armando didn't let up. He defended the guy that got the defensive rebound. Nance gets the steal, gets it to Armando, getting points. There was another time where Armando got an offensive rebound that ended with Caleb hitting a 3 that was actually designed. It was one of those in the offense threes, which you don't always see a lot of with this group. So he got 2 blocks in the second half, and of course 27 points, 5 rebounds in the second half. Armando flexed. Yeah. Caleb was doing some flexing tonight too, but Armando really flexed, and he showed Charleston and showed everybody else why he is a National Player of the Year candidate. And when his mojo is going like that, everything else works well around him. That's when they look like a national championship contender. And in the second 20 minutes tonight, they did. In the first 60 minutes of the season, they didn't look anything close to that.
No, they didn't. Let's talk about why Armando and some other players for North Carolina might have played better in the second half. And AJ, I think it starts with the message they got from Hubert Davis. Go watch Hubert Davis' press conference. I know you said watch Armando. Watch all of them, but definitely watch these two.
Best Hubert press conference ever.
Yes.
Ever, by far.
He was not, Roy Williams-esque in some ways with just some of the fireness he showed.
Sending some messages through us and really showing some fire. And a lot of times people say, well, you know, Hubert doesn't say a whole lot. He says a lot of words, but doesn't say a whole lot. Listen to this one, and listen to Armando as well.
Yeah, and I think you asked him a question specifically about Caleb Love, because Caleb Love said in his post-game press game interview, that he had been kind of challenged at halftime to play better.
Hubert called Caleb soft.
Yeah.
That's what Caleb said.
You said, you kind of alluded to, Caleb said that he was playing soft, and he was like, no. Hubert kind of stopped AJ and was like, no, we were all playing soft, and he said it like 4 or 5 times.
But then I doubled down because I was specifically asking about Caleb.
Yeah, because you got the quote from him, yeah.
Because that's what Caleb had just told me 10 minutes earlier, and I got clarification from Caleb on that, and he said, yes, it was a conversation with Hubert.
Yeah.
And so I threw it back at him. I said specifically to Caleb. He says, no, they were all like that.
Yeah, a few times, too.
So then I ended up just saying, okay, well, how do you think Caleb personally responded in the second half? And he shut down his guy defensively, and the guy that was jawing at him all night long, Caleb had some fun with that. And then Caleb was much more aggressive offensively.
Yeah, no doubt. And the message was obviously heard in a lot of ways, because Carolina did play with a little bit more fire, a little bit more swagger to it, especially, individual players like Armando Bacot. So the message was received. I think it's a sign of growth, like you said. Hubert Davis, in a way, we haven't really seen it this first season, kind of sending messages through the media as something explodes behind us. So, again,
or he was just being straight up honest. Yeah, we're 2 games in. We've had an exhibition game, secret scrimmage.
It's all,
And, okay, it's just November, but we need to be better than we were. Yeah. And it's one thing to not play very well. It's another thing to not have the right mind and the right motor. And I think that's what gnawed at him the most.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So I think, that's a positive from Carolina that they did respond to that. Now, not great. It's still early. Like you said, it's 2 games in. It's incredibly early. Not great that message necessarily has to be sent against this level of team, but still, the message was received. They played better in the second half. And again, I think it's a positive thing for Hubert Davis showing some of that emotion too.
Well, teams need stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to be a smooth ride. And if you're going to have that happen, what did we say about the football game the other day at UVA? If you're going to have a bad week of practice like they had, and you're going to have a game where you just don't play very well, do it in Charlottesville against this team. So if this basketball team is going to be a little soft and maybe not respond to the physicality of UNCW as much as they should, and be called out by their coach at halftime of the game, do it against Wilmington, do it against Charleston in early November.
It's a process, right?
Get it done. It's the process. And one of the things that Hubert said that is so true, and I actually asked Armando about this, I'll tell you what I said to Armando first. I said, there's a lot of newness out there, because he was talking about how he didn't lead properly. He took a lot of responsibility for them not. I'm going to use the word mojo again. I'm going to use it a lot tonight because they didn't have the right mojo. Armando said it was his fault because he's the leader and all that kind of stuff. I said, yeah, but it's a different group. There's some newness here. And he said, yeah, but we have all these guys back. So I'm going to go to what Hubert said in postgame. Hubert said it's a different team. The one thing he's learned already in year 2 is that every team is different. No matter how many guys you have back, every team is different. The components are different. Their mindsets are different. Their personal goals and expectations are different. And this group collectively, they were a darling last year at the end of the year in March and April because of the way that they were on that run. Now they're number 1. They have to learn how to play as the number 1 team. They have to learn how to play when there's a lot of expectations. And let's face it, Leaky Black's the only guy on this team that has ever played in this program where they were a number 1 type team. They were a 1 seed in 2019 when he was a freshman, where they had the weight of the typical Carolina expectations. Yeah, they weren't very good before otherwise in the regular season, and so the concern was different. They were just trying to navigate their way through all that stuff. They didn't have this mammoth thing hanging over them, which is you guys are supposed to win a national title.
It's a
totally different thing, and I think we've seen that this week.
Yeah.
And we didn't see it in the exhibition game, and that was Johnson C. Smith. This is real deal now. That's why I don't take a whole lot from exhibition games. So that's part of what they're learning to deal with. So if you're going to have a game where Hubert Davis, as mild-mannered as he can be, he is pretty intense. We've seen him at practice.
Yeah, he is.
A lot more intense than people realize. He let him have it. He let him have it. And he even said, in my day, when you were called soft, that was throwing down the gauntlet right there.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And so he did that. He challenged them big time, and they responded. So we'll see what happens when they play Gardner-Webb next week. Part of the challenge going into that game would be to start a game against a club you should beat easily. Start it with the right mojo, with the right frame of mind, with the right intensity. So as they become what they're going to become, they're going to have a lot of stuff that's on the floor right now. They're going to have to pick up here in November to help them get to that point. So it's not a bad thing that this is happening, Jacob.
No, I don't think so.
Because it's kind of good to shake the tree a little bit and bring them back down to earth and let them know that, hey, everybody's going to play. They're all going to play hard. They're going to try to beat you. They got dudes that are on scholarship too, as Brandon P. says, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So I think it's okay, but there was a while tonight where you really had to wonder where where that inner juice was and where and how it was going to come out, but it eventually did.
Yeah, it definitely did. We kind of focus on two positives. I want to talk about something that is a little bit of a concern early on for the Tar Heels. I know, like I said, it's 2 games in, so no need to panic. But rebounding, it's been an issue early on. Carolina out-rebounded what's first 2 games. Carolina's been out-rebounded in both, correct? I know it was UNCW. I didn't get a chance to look at the final rebounding stat last night. So, yeah, go ahead.
I know
you got it in.
Right before I walked out, I was doing one of my notes and I wrote it up. They've been out-rebounded in both games, overall and on the offensive glass. Now, tonight, Carolina only missed 2 shots inside the arc in the second half, so we ruined a lot of offensive rebound opportunities. But the other night, UNCW grabbed 34% of their missed shots. Carolina grabbed like 22% of theirs. I don't know what the percentage is tonight, but they were out-rebounded significantly tonight. So the numbers are, they've been out-rebounded 72 to 64 in the 2 games. And on the offensive glass, it's been 31 to 16.
Yeah, which is not typical Carolina basketball. I think something that alludes to that is the Armando Bacot interview. Go watch that we posted on our YouTube channel as well.
He said that it's an embarrassment to the tradition, history, and standard of this program, the way they've embarrassed.
Yeah,
they've rebounded.
I heard it out of the corner of my ear because I was with Caleb at the time.
That was the exchange I was having.
And he kind of said, this is something, I think he pulled out, I thought it was kind of funny in a way because he pulled out, this is something this program's prided itself on since like 1942. He threw out a random thing like that, which I thought was good. But again, rebounding's a bit of a concern. Carolina not hitting the glass as much as we've seen, but some pretty words from Armando Bacot. So you'd expect with players delivering that kind of message that would change, but it's a concern.
It is a concern. And let me add that when we talked to Hubert in June, and then when we talked to him, in September and October, every time he was very candid about, hey, we've got to be a better offensive rebounding team. They were the best defensive rebounding team in the they didn't have a great efficiency with the offensive rebounding in terms of numbers and then scoring points off of offensive rebounds. And I was running those numbers every week at the site. So it's kind of disappointing to see that they're getting out rebounded, but 31 to 16. That's an interesting stat that we're going to have to follow when they play Gardner-Webb and James Madison.
Yeah, no doubt.
Before they head out to Portland, because if they're getting out rebounded by these teams,
it's going to only get worse.
Yeah. So even in the second, when they were challenged and they were playing with tremendous verve and spirit, they still didn't overcome the rebounding deficit. So that's going to be something to watch. Armando said, look, I got to get more rebounds. But I don't know if you heard this. He said, but you can't be the only guy getting rebounds.
Yeah.
Pete Nance was a 6.5 rebound guy at Northwestern. He's 6'11". He came over here to get rebounds. They need more from him. They need more from Leakey on the weak side.
No doubt.
They need the guards to participate more.
Yeah, Caleb had a solid rebound tonight for him.
Caleb was fantastic tonight for the most part. Took a couple of bad shots, but you're going to get that.
Yes, Caleb.
Especially when he's jawing back and forth for 40 minutes, which you want.
Exactly. 100%.
You want somebody to irritate Caleb. I would say other words, but really get in his, what, and then let him be Caleb.
Yeah.
I think when Caleb is Caleb, that's when he's at his best.
Yeah.
But the rebounding is something that we're going to keep a solid eye on because those numbers, I'm going to grind them out tonight. I'm going to put them in some of my stuff and look more closely at them probably Sunday because I get
football game tomorrow, man.
I'll get back from Winston-Salem at like 5 o'clock in the morning, so then I'll work on some of the basketball stuff. But I would say that if there's anything to be alarmed about through 2 games, and I don't even think alarm is the right word, it's a little concern, I would say, rebounding is that, because that's not the norm here, and that shouldn't be the case with this group.
Yeah, and I think Hubert was asked about it tonight, and he's like, yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. We're getting out rebounded now. It's something we got to improve on. So I'm sure it's something the team will improve on because they definitely got guys who can do it. But again, AJ, Carolina proving a 2-0, 102-86 victory over College of Charleston. We need to get the heck out of here. I think I'm deaf in my right ear after standing here as well because it's like some shotgun blast going on.
What? Pardon me? What'd you say?
Exactly. Like I said, we're back. This is basketball season for you right here. So, AJ, I always enjoy talking to you. 3 things post game. Make sure you give it a like. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe as well. Keep it locked to TarIllustrated.com. I think you can still sign up. 30-day free subscription as well, right?
I think it runs out tonight at midnight.
So. Hey, so there's still a little bit of time to go sign up if you have some time.
30 days free.
Yeah, 30 days free. It's a great time to do it with the overlap. So AJ will be in Winston-Salem. THI will be well represented in Winston-Salem. I won't be there. We're doing 3 things after that one via Zoom. So make sure you keep it locked. We appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks.